Hey everyone, welcome back to the Weekly Awakening Podcast. This is your host, Cosmic Colleen, back with another Weekly Awakening Podcast, episode 256. Or is it 257, as I say that out loud? Either way, thank you guys for supporting me. You guys have been amazing and continue to support me. The best way to support this podcast, because I'm fully self-supporting, is to rate, review, subscribe. Send this to a friend. If you know a friend who is an Aries, or you know a friend who's a Pisces, a Gemini, the signs that we're talking about in this episode, and you think that they would like that, please send it their way. Now, Wednesday, March 19th, 7:24 p.m., the sun will conjunct Neptune in Pisces. That is today, so listen up, and that's going to be most important, especially for my Pisces placements. Thursday, March 20th, the sun enters Aries, 5:04 a.m. East Coast time. And this is exciting. We're now in spring. Happy spring, everyone. We are officially in spring. And I know up here in Pennsylvania area, it has kind of felt like spring. Friday, we have Venus retrograde in Aries, sextiling Pluto in Aquarius. Saturday, the 22nd, Venus conjuncts the sun in Aries. Sunday, on Saturday as well, the sun will sextile Pluto in Aries. And then on Tuesday, Mercury retrograde will sextile Pluto. So you see there's this little dance between Venus and Mercury retrograde. And then the sun, they're all sextiling Pluto. So there's a lot around power, and we're going to be talking about that on this episode. First of all, I just want to talk about, though, let's talk Mercury retrograde conjunct Venus and how it showed up in my life for the past week, because it's been really interesting. Sometimes I like to play guesses of how I think Mercury retrograde, will play out for me, or Venus retrograde in particular around the ways that I'm going to run into someone. So first of all, I have a long lost step cousin who I've only actually been around probably in my life 5 times, maybe 6 times. And we're on social media. Well, while I was at school the other day, at school, as well as I was work at the salon the other day on Thursday, I get a random FaceTime from her. I was like, hello? Who are you? What? Why are you calling me right now? It was really funny and random. Then on Saturday morning, when we had Mercury officially stationing retrograde, because we're in that right now, I had a client who I haven't seen since December of 2019 come back, and she had been living in Germany for the last 5 years. And there she was. When I saw her name, I was like, is that who I think it is? And sure enough, there she was. And it was like 5 years had not passed. We just had that same familiar vibe. I'd been doing her hair for 7 years prior to that. It was really nice to see her. And also just, it's funny how connections, once you connect with someone, it doesn't matter how the distance, the time, the things that have changed between you two often, you just connect. And that was really great. Then on Saturday night, I went to eat at a bar that my Irish friend works at for St. Patty's Day. And as I was eating, I ran into the woman who does my spray tans, or has done them, and I haven't seen her in 2 years. And she was like, oh my God, I've never seen you with your clothes on before. Then I ran into a client who's coming in this Saturday. Okay. Then I ran into a client and her husband that came in this Saturday. Then this is the craziest one. When I originally started this podcast, the Hair Healer podcast, 5 years ago when COVID started, originally it was my clients before COVID started. I opened it up to all kinds of people, everyone in this world, hairstylists. I think I had some people in a polyamorous relationship from Australia. Like I had some crazy, interesting people in there. So one of them was a hairstylist from West Philly, and his name was Juan, and he was on my podcast. We actually have never met in person. He was on my podcast. We still follow each other on Instagram. And there he was sitting at the bar. It was like very, very interesting, especially to run into him. I was like, wow, I know you, but we've actually never met in person. And we're coming up on 5 years since I recorded this podcast episode with you. So random seeing you. Now, that's like so far who I ran into, who I talked to. I don't know if I'm forgetting, but something else I want to talk about, which is really interesting, is on my dad's side. You guys know my dad is dead, and I have only one living relative on his whole side. He didn't have a huge family. He wasn't close with a lot of family. And so I have one cousin who, again, my dad had me late in life, who is like 65. Okay, that is it. On my entire dad's side, no living relative except for one cousin who's 65 is all I have. And he happened to have been a great records keeper. And I knew that. And I was talking to my brother, and he said, he has recordings of our grandparents talking. And I was like, really? So I reached out to him, and he sent them to me. And it's really, really interesting. I've only listened to my grandmother's recording, which was an hour. First of all, my grandma died when I was 13. My grandfather died when I was 19. I'm going to be 37, so I've not heard their voices in a very, very long time. I knew their voices right away, that if you put them in a lineup with 100 other voices and I had to pick out which two were my grandparents, I would have been able to pick it out. That was pretty surreal to me, to be like, whoa, as soon as I heard them, their voices, it like sent chills. Because again, it's been a long time since I've heard my grandparents' voice. And I was like, wow, like it just all came flooding back to me. And again, I was like, if I could pinpoint, like I would know exactly who their voices were, probably in a sea of 500 people. So while I was listening to my grandmother, she was a Gemini, and we actually shared a birthday, May 24th. And it was funny because she was talking about she was born in 1913. And so during World War I, she was a kid, and she can remember there was some parade in her little town in Western Pennsylvania, and someone dressed up as the devil, and they were leading someone down the parade. I'm guessing maybe some sort of soldier or like someone who was like a bad person. I don't know. But either way, they had a devil dressed up. And she said that she lost her mom because she went running off to see what the devil looked like. And she was like excited to see what he looked like. And she giggled. And when she did this interview, she was 87. And I'm laughing because as you know, a lot of Geminis often, even though we associate death and people like say the devil with Capricorn, there is a lot of people who even just naturally say that the kind of Geminis tend to have this like devilish side to them and this devil interest or the devil energy. And I just thought that was really ironic that she, as a young kid, was like a Gemini and was excited to go see the devil and to see what the devil looked like. And she really, really giggled. It just was really fascinating. She told me, and I know she was a very rebellious person. She ended up teaching herself how to read, put herself in college. And I'm going to say this, and then I'll get into the subjects of what's happening in the astrology. So when she graduated Indiana University of Pennsylvania in 1934, I think, something like that, 1936, it was the Great Depression. And my great-grandfather, her father, who was a coal miner, said that he wished he could have bought a hat, but he could not afford to buy a new hat for her college graduation. Whoa, I was like, that was pretty trippy to hear her say that and imagine what it would even been like. I mean, nowadays, even if you can't afford a hat, you can find one for free, pretty much a million hats out there. And it's just interesting, it hasn't even been a full 100 years, just how different things were back then. So that's how this has shown up for me. If you guys have any interesting stories and want me to share them on the podcast of how Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde, the conjunction, how that's shown up for you, please let me know. So we got the sun conjunct Neptune in Pisces. So that is today. And again, my people are going to feel that the most are going to be my mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces. Especially my Pisces, though. I'm really seeing this for my Pisces placements. General, feeling dreamy or just not wanting to do too much. Getting a much-needed wake-up call. Intuition about a past event can be coming up, especially with Mercury and Venus retrograding back and conjuncting Neptune. Pulling yourself out of a mental hole. You've been going back and forth, not sure which reality to take. This is going to be the real, quotations, realization that will play out over this retrograde with Mercury and Venus. So again, you're pulling yourself out of the mental hole. You've been going back and forth about like, what is reality? What do I want my reality to look like? Do I want to be here in front of this computer, doomsday scrolling all day long? Or do I want my energy? Do I want my reality to be very free and open? And so you're really starting to get a real look into this now. And we're at the end of these things, especially with Saturn at the last half of its time in Pisces. We're now having that strong realization. The sun conjunct Neptune, you're waking up from the veils. You're waking up from the ways that you were disassociating from what's around you. Breaking through a connection that has been suffering with distance. So like something that's a non-connection there. You have a connection with someone no longer is existing, or at least in the way that you would like it to exist. This is going to soften your block or resistance that has been creating this distance. So allow you to connect. This is going to be something that's playing out in and out. It's something that's already been playing in and out for a while for you guys, but it's really going to be playing in and out. And now you're breaking through and you're finally seeing, why are we disconnected? Why are we not connecting this way? So Libra risings, Virgo risings, Gemini risings, Pisces rising, moons, and Pisces suns. This is the strongest for you, that last one. And also for you guys, this is a transit where you can loosen up, forgive, or just stop giving a shit. Loosen up about something that's okay. So loosen up. This is going to be our weekly awakening for everyone this week. I know sometimes I say this is the awakening of the week and sometimes I don't, but loosen the fuck up about something. Okay. What is something you're really uptight about? Can you start letting it go? Why are you so uptight about it? And we have to practice not giving a shit. And that can happen with this sun conjunct Neptune. Like, what are you uptight about? Think about that. Because being uptight in that energy often what does that create? A stress hormone. What does that release? The stress hormone. What does that release? Disease, sickness, anxiety, so forth and so on. When a lot of times, again, some of the stress and anxiety you want to loosen about starts with being wound up about something, right? That really doesn't matter. Again, I say this all the time, but we have become so accustomed from the internet, from Google. We have too much information that now people are so worried and uptight about every little thing. How are you going to loosen up? That's what I want to know. What are you going to loosen up about? What are you going to do to loosen up? Please tell me how that is happening. Because think about something. Think about something where you know you react to it, you know you tighten up to it, you know you feel stressful about it. But you also know on the other end, damn, I wish I wasn't so stressful about it. Damn, this doesn't make sense to be so stressful about it. Think about that. Ponder that question after I asked you that. And then actually try to let go and try not to give a shit. Now, that doesn't happen overnight. It happens with awareness and then taking daily actions or daily steps towards what you want to let go of. So again, final awakening of your own bullshit, especially for my Pisces, moon, sun, and rising, your biggest mental block and doing something you haven't done that you know you've needed to do to break through, okay? It's time to break through. And often, again, breaking through comes from letting go and not giving a shit. Now, we are in Aries season already. What happened with Pisces season? Where did it go? I'm like, we're at the end of March. I don't even know what happened, to be honest with you. I feel like February with my surgery, it made everything go like blah. I wish I could go back to that because I know I said, hey, I've been doing all my online stuff. Well, the minute I went back to the salon full time, I have had no time or mental energy to post videos or my astrology videos that I was doing on TikTok while I was off. But I'm like, shit, we're at the end of March? What is happening? So now the sun at the beginning of this transit will conjunct Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde, moving back into Pisces. So oftentimes, Aries season is very strong about starting something new. We begin. It's the horoscope new year, essentially, when Aries season begins. We begin the zodiac calendar. So it's new, it's fresh. Often Aries season, right? We see the grass growing, we see the leaf, we hear the leaf blowers, we hear the ice cream trucks. It's like, wow, it's a fresh new beginning, a new awakening, and often we try something new in ourselves. However, with beginning the sun in Aries, with the transits of Venus and Mercury retrograding and conjuncting those and then moving back, this Aries season isn't so strongly about starting something new. It's about returning to something that you tried to jumpstart or didn't even want to jumpstart and giving it a second chance. All right. When things retrograde, we return, we cycle back. So the fact that these two retrogrades are going to be conjunct the sun is going to be biggest for Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Virgo, Scorpio, and Leo. You guys are going to be feeling this the most. Now, again, second chance, second look. This is going to be about something that is coming back to you. I know with retrograde, it's often like we don't want to start anything new. No, but sometimes it's returning to you to take it off again, to learn from it, to grow from it, or to actually make something launch. That is a good thing. Things return to you. It's often something that you want to look at during retrograde. So this can bring a return of creative ideas, love, friendship, communication in regards to your life path. Maybe you need more confidence to try to do what you couldn't before, but now you have the confidence and belief in yourself to do it. Meeting the right people and having the right conversations, where maybe last year or the year before that, when we had last year and the year before that, when we had Jupiter in Aries, we'll talk about that. Maybe things took off really fast, but it wasn't the right people. It wasn't the right conversations. It wasn't the right time. I feel like this is returning. So then there is the right time. Now on Saturday, Venus in Aries will conjunct the sun in Aries. The return, this will bring very strong for my Aries people. The return of family members, friends, love. But if it is love, it's going to be someone from like maybe a home environment or some past stage in your life where it felt very homey, where it felt very familiar. This could bring a conversation that is either heated in a debate or in passionate energy. So remind yourself of that. When Venus enters Aries, it can be this like, heated, all of a sudden, overwhelming, but it also can bring a nice passionate energy where it's like strong and heated, but not in that sort of debate type of way. This can bring a dispute in your intuition, especially when it comes to your body or just your deep sense of knowing or understanding your body. Watch out for being too reactive, especially for my Aries placements. Aries moons, you guys are always fucking reactive. Aries risings, Aries suns, but especially my Aries moons. This is definitely, again, a transit that can bring reactivity, but this is also a good reactivity, a jumpstart, like I said, to working out, to finally getting sick of your bullshit and making that change. So sometimes this reactivity can be positive. Think about it. When you have an idea and you want to do it, even if it's as simple as meditating. And then one day something kicks your ass and you jumpstart it. It's kind of like that. Like, okay, I'm going to do it right now. We're going to get this shit right now. Now, this season is bringing the last solar eclipse, this Aries season, in the series of Aries and Libra eclipses happening next weekend. And I will going to do another episode for next week so you guys have like a deeper idea about what's happening. But this Aries season, again, we're tying it back to a cycle from the spring of May 2002 to May 2023. Some things got off to a super fast start. Like I said, Jupiter was in Aries then, and almost too fast. And I know a lot of Aries who like a lot of crazy shit happened very fast for them, Aries placements. And then it was, even back then, they had to like kind of tie it back and return. Now you're finally returning in a big return to launch, to actually have the true launch that you need. So some things got off to a super fast start, almost too fast. You maybe got ahead of yourself or now just in a totally different place. However, with the sun conjuncting these retrograde planets, there, like I said, is return. And sometimes for Mercury retrograde, often the return only comes to gain more mental awareness. And that, which it will always shift your life path, whether you realize it or not. When you gain mental awareness, you might not realize it's happening till later. But every time you do that, you see what you cannot unsee. And oftentimes that then slowly shifts your life path in the direction that it's going. So this Aries season is going to bring a renewed sense of freshness about something that has been stale. Something from the past that has been stale. We are now coming to a new, fresh, renewed sense. What else has happened this week? Like I said, on Friday, the 21st, Venus retrograde will sextile Pluto in Aquarius, then Sunday the 23rd, and then Mercury on the 25th. So my Aquarius and Taurus placements, you guys have a square with each other, okay? The fixed signs, the mutable signs, the cardinal signs, they all square each other. And so often this square between the fixed signs, Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, is all about control. Usually relinquishing control. Someone wants to control the whole dynamic. Someone wants to be in charge. With the fixed signs, that's usually what the drama is. So, however, Venus, Taurus's ruler, is in Aries and will be sextiling Pluto in Aquarius. So there's going to be a mutual understanding or exchange in power that is happening here, especially for my Aquarius, for my Venus placements and my Aquarius placements. So for my this is really, again, for my fixed signs plus Aries. Okay, y'all like to do things your own way. And often, like I said, have trouble relinquishing power or being flexible. So again, this is going to bring more flexibility with your stubbornness that is needed in order to make the kind of changes you need to make to change the course of your life path and the direction you want to take it. In general, this energy will feel like stepping into my power. There is a promise. With a sextile, we promise. With a trine, we deliver. So this is stepping into my power. Promises of the future for you. Promises of how you're going to, dictate your life path. And sometimes, again, that can come from actually not being stubborn and being open to maybe someone else's ideas or what someone else thinks. But there's this lightness around stepping into your power. Like, I let go and the energy I was so desperately thinking came rushing back to me. Sort of one of those things, that energy, you let go, of something. You say, you know what? I'm just going to put this out there in the universe. And then that energy, that change, that shift you were so desperately thinking about, woo, all of a sudden you make room for it. And there it is. This can be a transit that brings strategic, rushed energy. Like I need this change to happen and I need it right now. That can bring that. Like I need this shit to happen right now. Plans that have a promise, but there is work that needs to be done, and it needs to be done now. This can bring heavy conversations that come on quick, but also maybe have this lighthearted sarcasm that helps you process it. I don't know about you, but I mean, I love sarcasm, but there is something funny about, even with my kids and my relationships, my friendships, when there's like a weird conversation or a hard conversation or a truth conversation, when it's often like brought or delivered with some lighthearted sarcasm, it really helps you process it. There's like this funny way you can see a reality in someone when someone just like, gives you the sarcastic truth of it. So now let's go over this one more time. What is the weekly awakening of this week? To loosen the fuck up. Think about something you need to loosen the fuck up and gain awareness around it. Think to yourself, why does this stress me out? Why do I get so worked up for this? And actually change. Make the change you need. These transits can bring reactions, but it's time to look at those reactions and pick one to stop. Pick one of them that you need to work on and practice stopping it. Now, next week, I'll be back with another episode well before we have the solar eclipse in Aries. And this is going to be a lot of talk for Aries, my Aries placements. You guys are now stepping through. There's like this idea when I always feel like in my head, those pictures, I guess you would see and on posters and like anytime a meme about the universe, you see a door in the door frame and then like someone's opening up and you see the universe, and sometimes they even show the back and you see, the whole line of everything you've done. That's what I see at the end of Eclipses series, right? At first, you're blindly opening up the door, not knowing the changes that are going to happen, that affect you with your astrology the most. And then over an 18-month to 2-year period, you go through all of that, and then you literally launch. You walk into the door of the new, when they end the eclipse series, of the new level up, of the new universe for you. And you look back and you're like, whoa, I don't know how I just made it through all of that, but I'm here now and I'm entering the door. So for you guys, Aries placements, you're finally entering the door and closing the door on the past and entering to the new paradigm that you are in. So I will drop that episode. I'm very excited about that episode. And I love you guys. Have a beautiful week, and I will be back with another episode.